Hi, it's David Tracy with the Autopian. Behind me is Sheldon Brown, Chief Engineer for the new Toyota Tacoma. And this chassis is a Tacoma TRD Pro. It's an off-road beast. Even compared to the TRD off-road that I've driven previously, this takes that up a notch and a half.
Wow, we think it's a couple of notches. It really does highlight the off-road and really the high-speed desert racing, and that's what TRD Pro was as a halo truck. That's where it was, what inspired it, and that's what we're seeking after.
So this, okay, bigger tires, 33s instead of 32s.
That's correct.
Suspension looks very different. This is a billet aluminum, red, which is fun.
Right.
Upper control arm. You've got different shocks and springs and all sorts of, What else? What else do we have new on this?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking. So, as you said, first and foremost, we start with the tires. These are our Goodyear RTs, and basically these are basically a 33-inch tire. The suspension is actually lifted. We're about 2 inches in the front and about 1.5 inches in the rear relative to the SR5, so a little bit better ground clearance. The upper control arms, as you mentioned, these are designed and actually manufactured by our TRD Racing organization in Costa Mesa, California, as well as North Carolina. And the advantage, of course, these are lighter weight, they're stronger, and we're able to actually then reduce this section, which, as you lift the vehicle and you sort of move the truck within the suspension range, we're actually able to recover a little bit of that by making the section thinner and having enough clearance. So about 15 millimeters of additional droop.
So 2.5-inch lift over SR5. What about over TRD off-road?
So just so that we're clear, we're getting about a 2-inch lift overall. So what we're getting there is what we're seeing is we're getting 1 inch from the tire and then about basically another 1.5 inches from the suspension.
Okay. Is it
compared to the off-road,
to the TRD? Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looks right. Like this truck. Oh, there you can see one in the distance. Mm-hmm. It just looks right, especially with the flares, which are great. So I noticed the flares on that. It makes it look tough.
Cool.
Wider track too, right?
It is water track, about 3 inches wider than the off-road, and then when we start to think about the SR5, it's really significantly wider than if you think about the outgoing truck. It's almost 6 inches wider than the outgoing truck.
Oh, okay. So I've only driven the Turbo 4, non-hybrid.
Sure.
Are these all hybrid, all TRD off-road?
The Trail Hunter and the TRD Pro will be 100%. Will be 100% all hybrid. That's correct.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and you can see it in orange here. Mm-hmm. Orange equals high voltage.
That's right.
So here's our battery pack. This is nickel metal hydride.
It is a nickel metal hydride. Yep, 1.87 kilowatt hours. It's the same same battery that we're using in Tundra and Sequoia. Of course, in the Tundras and in Tacomas, they're underneath the rear seat. Mm-hmm. So the rear seat cushion is right here. The vehicles you drove maybe had a lift-up seat where there was some storage. This is now replaced by the battery. So that's one downside. We do lose a little bit of that, but we get all kinds of fun on the road.
Okay, so this is obviously a small battery, and it NIMH, not the typical battery being used in modern electrification efforts. Mm-hmm. Is that just sort of this has worked for us for a while?
Tried and true technology, super durable. Bulletproof, and those are the type of things that we want to make sure that we're putting in this truck, and so that chemistry really is great for us. The other side of this is we have the room for the package, right? So really, if you go to the lithium style batteries, you're getting a little bit greater energy density per se, but it also slightly usually higher cost than the nickel metal hydride. So we get the durability, we had the room, we had the space for it, so it made a lot of sense given its long history.
So okay, what okay, actually, before we move on, so we've got obviously our battery pack here behind the second row. Mm-hmm. We've got this is a DC-DC converter?
There you go, right, exactly. That's exactly correct.
All right, yeah, I mean, and then this is a...
and this, as you can see right here, that's the actual...
inline starter generator, or whatever they call it.
Yep, motor generator. So we have our engine, our flywheel, we have our clutch in here, and then this just bolts straight up to the rest of the transmission, and everything else from here back is effectively your I-Force. So this is the max.
Oh, really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Is it really? I mean, is from here? Is that the same? I mean,
well, there's a difference obviously in position because the drive shaft and everything moves.
Yeah.
But for all intent and purposes, yes, we're pairing that with the same 8-speed transmission. Again, we've got the clutch that's built in here that separates the electric motor from the engine to the flywheel. But otherwise, they're very similar architecture and structures.
Okay. All right. So this is, I drove the Tundra a while ago. It's essentially the same system as the new Tundra.
Yes. Yeah. Obviously, different components, different hardware. The motor has a different shape because it has to meet to the V6 twin turbo, and of course to the 10-speed bell housing. So outside of the casing, the rest of the components are very similar.
Okay, right. So it's V6 twin turbo on that one. This is an inline 4.
Inline 4, 10-speed, 8-speed.
8, got it. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Other differences. Are those tow hooks the same as a TRD off-road?
So this is something that is optional, and it's available on the TRD Pro, but it's available to all of them. So if you saw on the previous off-road packages, you have a black ring, and this is just a little bit more glitz, a little more glam. Those are again a forged and machined front tow hook. So a little bit more spice for the TRD Pro.
Oh, they look cool. Okay, here we have our little small overlap enabler there.
You know this well. We call those things tire catchers, right? So the purpose of that is as the vehicle comes and loads, right? The intention of small overlap is to miss our structural components. Right? This is if you happen to veer off and maybe catch a telephone pole or a tree. All of this loads back in, and so we want to take all that energy that's being loaded into the rocker and into what we'll call the if you will, the safety cage or the strength cage of the body. And so this takes that tire and flips that tire around so that you don't get all that consistent loading.
Okay, so I notice, so I'm assuming non-TRD Pro is here, and then this is an add-on for the additional track width, or?
No, honestly, so this is our number 2 cab mount. This right here is on all of the vehicles, and then
so this white piece it doesn't change based on the track width.
No, it doesn't. Just because the track width is out a little bit, really all we want to do is catch and flip and then hold it. So it works for both of those configurations.
Okay,
those are not unique components.
Okay,
we bolt those right on. You can see here just so that they're available right there, and easy add-ons there.
Okay. All right. Other changes: TRD Pro versus non. Let's say dual exhaust looks a little different.
Dual exhaust tips, right? So we're
yeah.
still coming back out with a single exhaust, and we split that to the dual tips there. Obviously, those are in the anodized black look, so that it sort of matches the rest of the motif on the truck. There is a unique performance exhaust on here, so if you think about the exhaust from this portion back, this is unique to the Pro. It has a unique tune. There is some ANC active noise cancellation, and so in each case, when we have the performance exhaust on this particular truck, it comes standard. We actually have the ANC active noise cancellation basically married to that particular exhaust. If you decided that you wanted this exhaust package, for example, on your ORP, that's not a problem. In fact, we'll even give you the software upgrade that goes with it, and that will make sure that your ANC is matching both for the muffler with the tune that you have on your engine.
Okay. So this thing's obviously it's lifted, and with that you have all new control arms and new track bar.
The rear of the suspension is largely the same. The lift that you're getting right now is mostly coming from the coil spring, and then of course you're showing the Fox here. So here's where we have the 2.5 multi bypass shocks. This one has, of course, the reservoir and the QS3, the Quick Switch 3. So setting 1 is really more supple. It's made for on-road, so you have that good performance for the guys who are using this, or the guys and gals using this for everyday on-road driving or everyday driver. And then we moved to the second setting, which has got a little bit more damping force in there. And that's for driving down those, I'll say on the way to the trail, for example. And then 3 is really for that really high impact dynamic, sort of driving through the desert, higher speeds. And those are then complemented with these hydraulic jound stoppers. These are mounted directly here into the spring seats. And so they assess especially for that big energy and really damping that right out. And the key point is, right, once we go over the event, we absorb the energy and we straighten back out, and the truck is moving.
Okay, so you've got different coils on TRD Pro versus TRD Off-Road, but the actual control arms and links are the same as the
hardware is the same. Rear differential is different, so the total axle assembly is different, right? We're using the BD24, the 9.5 inch with a 1-motor hybrids, whereas on the ORPs we're using the BD21.
So ORP is
TRD non-hybrid, so the iForce engine. That's right. Yep. Right, but when we get that extra strength in there, we also put the larger differential on the manual transmission as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Did we miss anything? Any other updates on TRD Pro versus that TRD Off-Road?
Versus TRD Off-Road. I mean, the only other couple things we could talk a little bit about is standard. We've got the ARB rear recovery points. These are bolted directly to the frame.
Yep.
We have the ARB steel
What do you
rear
rate
bumper.
those at, by the way, in terms of GVW?
These right here are actually like 1.5 times GVW.
Okay.
So you can hang the whole truck from one side here. ARB steer wheel bumper, high
Oh,
clearance.
steel, nice.
Yep. This is steel. The great part about this is it's completely integrated with all of our technology. So as you can see here, we have our rear sonars. Up here we have our BSM, blind spot monitor, and this has all been developed so that all of that straight from the factory technology works directly with the rear steel bumper. Sometimes when you get into steel bumpers, you can get reflection and you can get false positives and things of that nature. So very difficult for an aftermarket supplier to be able to do so, to integrate these. And this is where we felt that the collaboration with ARB is a way that we could bring value to the customer. Of course, we have, like in all of our trucks, we've got our high lift access points. I think that's important because you can put the jack right in there. And then along the sides, this truck is actually featured with sliders. That's really truly standard on the Trail Hunter. We have the rocker protectors that you'll see for most of the pros, and you'll see that when we show you the trucks.
But you don't call the sliders.
They're not meant for full. Like this is half GVW. They're bolted. You can see right here.
Tied to the frame.
They're tied directly to the frame. The rock slider, which you can see on that truck right there, the black along the rocker.
Yeah.
That I'll say that sort of Nerf rail or that rocker protector, that's bolted to the rocker itself.
The pinch welds down, the pinch seam, or
nope. There's so in the rocker section, there's
like
there's nuts that are inside there. Yeah, weld nuts.
Okay.
And so they bolt right up to that. So you don't have the same strength bearing, but that's really not meant for rock crawling as much as going fast. So you're throwing a lot of stuff up.
Yep.
It's meant to protect it. If you do get the occasional rock that comes up, or if you kind of nerf off it, it'll protect you. In that case.
At the very least, it's spreading the load out.
That's exactly right. But it's not meant for a. This is meant for a literally put it on the rock, slide down the rock, and it's meant to hold half GVW.
Wow. Can you get this? Can you option this on a?
It is certainly available. That's right. So the great news is, again, trying to be accessory friendly for all the trucks. All of these additional accommodations, they're in every single frame.
Oh, great.
This is even available to you in the off-road package.
Oh, great.
And these are available to you in both the short deck or the long deck variation. So these obviously get a little bit longer when we stretch the wheelbase. So yeah, they're available to all of our customers. And if you decide, after your initial point of purchase, easy to come back and pick them up, bolt them straight on.
Now, do any trucks come with a skid plate under the fuel tank?
They do. Both the Pro, let me see if this one's got it on here. It doesn't have it on there.
I noticed they have the plastic sort of shield.
This model doesn't have it on there, but yes, the Pro has a plastic skid plate. So does the Trail Hunter. The Trail Hunter also has...
But it's not steel.
It is not. It's plastic in this case. Yeah.
Okay.
There is a steel underbody piece that we do have that is available.
Okay.
Yep. So you'll see the difference when we look at the Trail Hunter. Trail Hunter has the steel front skid. The TRD Pro will have the aluminum front skid plate. Trail Hunter has this middle protection piece. It'll also have the fuel tank protector, and then there's also a piece that goes over the rear diff for Trail Hunter. Okay. You give up a little bit of running clearance of that, right? Because we're basically packaged the same, and then you have to build up a little bit for the protection. But it's kind of that back and forth. You want more ground clearance and no protection, or a little less ground clearance, more protection. So on the Trail Hunter side, a little bit more tactical rock crawling, give you the protection. This is really meant for more of the high-speed running.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Mr. Brown, this is incredible. Just the look itself with the wide flares, the bigger tires, it just looks right.
Cool.
So thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
There it is, the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. There's the chassis. I'm about to take it on a drive, and you're going to see what it can do.